Thank you very much. I should have come in just share like this. Nice one. Looking very nice this morning, Tempo. Okay, so 0.34%, not a really bad day, as it were, at your marketplace. Take it away from me.
Yes, Bosun, not a bad day because we saw a lot of more buy interest yesterday in the market. We saw that even if you go by the sectoral performances, things were quite positive for three of the major of the five key segments of the market that we really track, and that is because after we've seen the sell pressure or sell off on some of the bellwethers in the market, we saw a bit of re-entry yesterday in the market, in a bit for investors to take position for some of the anticipated gains that may come in with the Yuletide. So the all share index, as you know, was up some 0.34%, still going with the projections of analysts that the index is not going to drop below the 30,000 psychological mark. The index is still at 30,700 at 718.72. That's how it ended yesterday. And we saw the equity capitalization settling at 11.220 trillion naira. In terms of volume, we saw a bit of improvement. We came in yesterday at 215.38 million units yesterday, valued at 3.39 billion naira, in spite of the fact that we saw a bit of sideways trading in the early trades yesterday. At a point it went up, at a point we went to the negative territory. But thanks to the positive performance in the consumer goods segments with the likes of Nigerian breweries and a couple of other bellwethers there. You also have the industrial goods segment that was also positive yesterday by some 66 basis points after we saw some buy interest in Dangote Cement and a couple of other firms there in the cement subsector of that particular segment of the market. The insurance was down some 0.35%. We also have the banking segment down marginally by 0.09% because we saw a whole lot of profits taken on a lot of the banking names yesterday, except for the mid-tier banks, where you got some buy increase now on the likes of Wema Bank and a whole lot of others. But in terms of the likes of Diamond Bank, we saw huge profits taken there yesterday, and that's one of the key reasons why we saw that index dragged yesterday to 0.09% or by 0.09% yesterday. Let's look at the oil and gas segment, which was positive by some 0.10%, and we got drivers from basically Forte Oil, which had hit some 17 naira low in the past few sessions, but we saw it coming back to 20 naira yesterday, up by 4.44%. We saw some 6.96 million units of shares traded on that particular trade. It is difficult to say right now if the sell down by a major investor in that company is over, but we'll wait and see how this things pan out in the next 7 to 8 trading sessions before the judgment can be put to on Forte Oil. As a matter of fact, well, let's look at 11 PLC, formerly known as Mobile PLC, was unchanged in terms of its performance. We saw some 28,060 units of its shares done yesterday. O&O depreciated by 1%. And we saw no change in Seplat, no change in Total, in spite of the trades that we saw there. We also saw a 5% increase on Japol. Before we move on, one of the other markets that we track again is the NSE, which is the unlisted securities market. It's interesting to say that that market jumped some 2.88% yesterday. We've been seeing a whole lot of buy interest in Ensure PLC, which is an insurance company that recently embarked on a mergers and acquisition exercise. That particular company has been helping the market in recent times. We've seen huge volume traded on that particular company, and now that the platform itself has come up with a bit of daily updates on the website, it's positive for that for the companies that are trading on that system, because investors can have access to real-time trade in Boson.
Temple, look at the ticker tips for us and give us a sense of where today is looking like. I love yesterday. Is it going to be another Wednesday? Is going to be another positive day? What are the early hour of trading, the opening bell? What does it say?
It's really cold right now, Boston. Market is marginally down some 0.03%. We don't know why, but the financial services sectors are receiving huge bashing right now in the market. Mansard, which is one of the insurance companies, AXA Mansard precisely, in absolute terms is down some 20 kobo. That is 10% in terms of the losses that it has recorded in the market. In the past more than 11 sessions or thereabouts, that was a company that's traded around 1 naira 82 kobo. You have a lot of investors that took position in that, and then it surged some 10% or beyond to 2 naira 20 kobo or thereabouts. But having waited for some movement and appreciation and it didn't happen, we're seeing it now coming down. But perhaps it is in reaction to a change on the board of that company. We understand by way of a notice to the Nigerian Stock Exchange this morning that there's been the resignation of one of the non-executive members of the board in person of Mr. Frederick Fleju, who retired abruptly from the company recently. I think that was in November, but the notice came to the stock exchange yesterday, stroke this morning, and we understand that the resignation has been unanimously approved, albeit the other members of the board kind of commended Mr. Fleju for his leadership qualities while on the board of the company. Another company that is surprisingly right now on the losing side of the market is Zenith Bank, has lost some 0.65% in its share price, and that is also probably in reaction to another notice that came to the market this morning by way of the retirement of one of the long-serving members of the board of that company in person of Alhaji Baba Taylor. Mr. Baba Taylor was a non-independent executive director of Zenith Bank. We understand he served on the board for about 12 years, and his tenure has expired, and so he needs to go. Now we understand that this position or this approval was taken between October and, of course, November. And Bosun, you will recall that there was a time in this market within that period that we saw a surge in the share price of Zenith Bank, and we saw some huge volume, over 1 billion naira worth of transaction on that particular company. This may not be unconnected to these developments that we're seeing there, but generally, Mansard and you got Zenith Bank, and of course one of the other companies, FCMB, as the major companies found on the top trades list of the markets today. And the only company seemingly experiencing a buy sentiment from investors right now is Union Bank, and has seen some 888,000 of its shares traded with a little bit of appreciation in the share price. Bosun.
Tempo. When the market is sneezing, try not to catch cold. If you catch cold, just get that hot cup of coffee. Sticking in there, stick with the market, and bringing us all the latest as they happen. Really? I'm out of here. Let's stay out of here till tomorrow. We'll be right back, everyone. See you Thursday.